Now, we're also being joined by Adrian Kalmil. He's a fellow at the Arabian Peninsula Institute and Middle Eastern scholar. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. We had you last time, a few days ago, we had you on the show, and we were talking about and asked you about if this is an escalation. Are we looking at an escalation, or what comes next?
Thank you for having me back. Are we looking at an escalation? Well, the ball really sits in Hezbollah's court right now. I believe that the message from Israel today was very strong. We can hit you in Dahia, which is the Hezbollah stronghold. I mean, that is basically going into their backyard and taking them out. And then we also need to look at the individual that was taken out. Fuad Shukr is he was responsible, one of the architects behind the 1983 Marine barracks bombing, which killed 241 Americans. The other individuals that were involved with him in that, Mustafa Badruddin and Imad Munir, they're both dead. They've both been eliminated. Fuad Shukr is he's probably second in command. He's running the whole southern Lebanon file. He's running the show as far as attacks against Israel from that northern border right now. So it's a message from Israel saying, we can get you where we want you. And they've demonstrated this before, not just in Lebanon, but in the Islamic Republic, when they assassinated a nuclear scientist. So it shows their capabilities, strong intelligence, and we'll take people out if you push us to this level. Now, the hope is that the message Israel wants to send, in my estimation, is that do not bring those precision-guided missiles forward. That is an escalation that is going to bring about disastrous consequences.
Talking of the escalation now, this is going to be the second front, but Netanyahu has said that he can go out for an all-out war. But do you think Israel at this point, there's also the Gaza that's happening, do you think Israel is ready to go for a second front?
No, I don't. And it's a great question. I don't believe they're ready to go for a second front. If we're talking about a second front, we're talking about ground troops, if that's what we're talking about as far as the second troop, as far as moving in, pushing Hezbollah back south of Litani, as they're required to under the UN Security Council's Resolution 1701. But I think we also have to recognize that this is not just one front that they have been fighting, the Israelis. Since October 8th, Hezbollah has been firing rockets. The Houthis, they've got attacks coming from Iraq, attacks coming from Gaza, Lebanon, Syria. So it's a multi-front war that is really difficult to manage.
Also, the U.S. has called for a diplomatic solution, and we know that they have been meeting with the Qatari officials and Egyptian officials for ceasefire talks. How does that stand right now after all this tit-for-tat escalation between Lebanon and Israel?
Well, let me put it this way. The last time we had a major diplomatic effort that led to the UN Security Council Resolution 1701, which required Hezbollah to disarm and withdraw from south of Litani, they did not meet those requirements. They never have. And UNIFIL, the UN agency that was supposed to be there to enforce these rules so that Hezbollah cannot do this, so they cannot open up a front and start a war against Israel, has been allowed to grow in strength. And this is really a failure of what I see, the diplomatic community, to address this. You put forward a diplomatic solution, but then there needs to be some concrete steps to make sure that the objectives are being met, and they were never met.
Right, Adrian Kalmil, thank you for joining us and giving your insight. We'll look at how this all pans out, but thank you so much for giving your insights.
Thank you for having me again.